Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here to start the mid-month book bash vlog. So I had to skip mid-month book bash last month in March, which was so sad because I really enjoy participating and making a vlog every month for mid-month book bash. So I'm back again, so yay, and it's Friday and it's halfway through my work day. I am currently at lunch and I'm in between a all-morning Zoom workshop and a in-person meeting that I have to attend, have to leave for in about 8 minutes to drive to. So yeah, that's my Friday, and I am sort of just wanting to be organized about what I'm doing this weekend. My goal for the mid-month book bash this particular month is to complete 3 books. I actually have 4 books, but 3 books that I currently am working on that I would like to finish this weekend. The first one is my audiobook, and that is Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins. So it's a romance novel by a Black author. And I think I have like 2.5 hours left in my audiobook. So I'm hoping that today, driving to and from my meeting, I will be able to complete that audiobook. It's a U.S. Western romance where our heroine is a African-American who is trying to get herself to California to try to start her own business in the restaurant industry. And our hero is a biracial person who is passing as white, but his mom was an enslaved person and his father was the master of the plantation where they lived. This is just a few years after the Civil War. This takes place, like I said, out west, I think in Nevada. So he's passing as white. She thinks he's white. He owns a business in this small town that she's sort of stuck in and working as a chef in a boarding house. So it's a kind of a slow roll, kind of a romance. Not a lot has happened, even though I'm more than halfway through the book. And both of our main characters are very nice people, but there isn't a lot of action. So we'll see. I got, like I said, about 2.5 more hours on that one. Then I am reading for Aussie April. I'm reading Fire Country by Victor Steffensen, and this is an Aboriginal author writing about native practices of fire management in Australia. And I'm finding it quite fascinating. It's really written in a conversational style, not in a serious scientific way at all. And Victor is a person who learned on the job, basically learned from elders in tribal communities, and is sort of trying to teach those methodologies for fire management and protection of the ecology of a particular landscape to white European type folks, and it's not particularly going well. But I'm very, very fascinated by the different types of ecosystems that he's describing and how fire management methods are applied in each of those particular ecological zones. It's really, really interesting to me. So that one I'm reading it on ebook, and I only have 30% of that left. So I'm very hopeful that I'll be able to finish that this weekend. And then the third book that I am working on is a book for my BookTube prize reading, and that's A Ghost in the Throat. So that I'm also reading on ebook, and I won't be able to talk about it really in detail, but I do hope to finish it this weekend. So those are my goals for the weekend, and I will check in with you as I go and hopefully make some progress on these books. Hey there, I've finished my first book of the mid-month book bash, and that was my audiobook of the book Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins, which is a romance. And I would say that this is a romance that falls on the sweet side of the spectrum. There's just a very little bit of sex scenes, really not very much at all, especially compared to the types of romances that I usually read. So if you like your romances a little bit on that gentler side, I would say this is a good pick for you. This is a Western romance, so it takes place in the years right after the Civil War in the western part of the United States. And our main characters are Edie and Ryan. Edie is a Black American woman who was born in freedom. Her parents were freed from slavery, and she was when she was born, her parents had already been freed. And so she has lived her whole life as a free woman and has decided that she wants to leave Colorado and head out to California and try to open her own restaurant because she's a really talented cook. And several things happen that she didn't expect, and she ends up somewhere between Colorado and California, I think in Nevada, in a small town, and has to find work in order to earn enough money to continue on her journey. While she is there in this small town, she meets a man named Ryan, who ostensibly is a white business owner. But Ryan is hiding a secret. He is passing. He is actually, his mom was an enslaved person and his dad was the plantation owner. So he's hiding his background. He looks white, and he has been operating as a sort of wealthy white business owner in this small town. But he and Edie, of course, start to fall for each other. And how is that going to work if he is trying to pass as white? And is Edie really going to stay in this small town, or is she going to continue her journey to California? And so it's a very gentle story, not a lot of action, but there is a lot of discussion dealing with what it was like to be a Black American at this time period, and to have ostensibly been given your freedom and be told that you're an equal member of society, but not really be treated as equal. So I enjoyed those aspects of the story. Edie and Ryan are both really nice people. I mean, they're just nice people, and they treat each other respectfully, and they treat those around them respectfully. But it was a little slow going for me because, like I said, there's not much action in this story at all. And it's not written, I like my romances also more when they have sort of witty banter, and there isn't really witty banter in this story. But so I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I finished one book for the weekend, so that's good. Check. One book done for the weekend. What is this? Oh my God. Look at that. Doris. What is going on? It's on my door. I might have to burn my house down. Oh, it's definitely spring. The spiders have come back out. Libby, come get this spider for me. Good morning. It's Sunday, April 10th, and I realized that I didn't take the time to let you know about a book I finished yesterday on Saturday. So I was reading Fire Country by Victor Steffensen, which I spoke about, I think, in my initial clip for Aussie April. And I finished it in the early morning hours of Saturday. I've been really struggling with insomnia for the past couple of nights, so I just finish that book up. And it was good, but not great. So I really liked the information that Victor was providing and his discussion of how we can learn from Indigenous knowledge in order to do better at managing our relationship with the environment. And so the message that he's talking about, this idea that there's a lot of Indigenous knowledge or local knowledge about a particular landscape or a particular environment, in particular habitat, particular ecology of a local area that Indigenous people know a lot about, or local people know a lot about, and the powers on high that are in charge of managing those resources don't necessarily always know the best approach. And because I work in a resource management field, I understand what he's saying, and I agree with him for the most part. When you manage resources, natural resources from a high level, whether it's at a state or provincial level or a federal level, a lot of things are done in a manner to make it more efficient to manage that resource. So the Western cultures, they really prioritize efficiency in management of things, and that means that they're often looking for a solution that can be applied across the board for everything. And that is not really a recipe for success when you're talking about natural resources. And Victor is really talking about that. He's talking about how one size does not fit all when it comes to fire management, and that the way that Indigenous folks in Australia managed for fire was very specific to the landscape they were in, that there was different times a year where they would burn certain areas, and that they looked for indicators in the environment to tell them whether it was safe to burn or not. And that the way that resource management is done now just simply does not allow for that flexibility. And I totally am on board with his message with that. And I'm on board with his message that we really need to listen to Indigenous voices. We need to listen to local voices when it comes to resource management. But the thing that I didn't like about the book was I felt that the writing style was not for me. It's written in a very conversational and I would say just as Victor's telling you his thoughts and his stories just, off the cuff, if he was sitting down across the table from you. And that's fine, but he also, his speech patterns are sprinkled with, not sprinkled, it's a deluge, with terminology that I just don't know what it is. It's local, it's his Indigenous terms for things or local slang for things, and that made it really hard sometimes to understand what he was talking about. It's like reading a book in a foreign language that's been translated, but they leave half the words in the original language. And if you don't speak that language, it's really hard to understand contextually what those words are supposed to mean. So I felt a little bit lost at times that way. And it also just, just didn't flow as well as maybe it could have. But that's not to say that the information that was being discussed wasn't important, because it very much was. So I'm glad that I read it, and I did get a lot out of it. And I very much agree with his point, which is we really need to listen to the people who were taking care of the land for thousands of years and doing it very well before the rest of us came along and sort of tried to impose our, better way of doing things on top of it. So I'm glad I read that one for Aussie April. Now, I have also been working on a BookTube Prize book, A Ghost in the Throat, and I have about 100 pages left to go with that one. I've been alternating between text. I have the ebook and the audiobook from Scribd, so I've been alternating back and forth between the text and the audiobook depending on, whether I'm doing chores and need something to listen to in my ears or whether I'm sitting and can read. And then this morning, as I drank my morning cup of tea, I was feeling in the mood for something that I knew I would fall right into. And If It Bleeds by Stephen King, his latest story collection. I won't call them short stories because he's not very brief. So they're not short, but his story collection has four or five stories in this collection. That's, pretty thick. And so I picked this up this morning and read, I don't even know how far I got. I got just a little ways into the first story, about 30 pages in, and I am absolutely loving it already. The way Stephen King tells a story, the way his characters just leap off the page. I can't get enough of it. So I will be dipping in and out of this for the rest of Mid-Month Book Bash as well. So yeah, that's my update. Hi friends, it's Monday evening and I figure I better wrap up this mid-month book bash vlog. I did finish my book to prize book that I was reading, A Ghost in the Throat. So I finished that yesterday on Sunday. So yay me, I met my goal of completing the 3 books that I was reading when the weekend started. I finished A Ghost in the Throat, I finished Fire Country, and I finished Forbidden. So that was the 3 books that I wanted to finish before the end of the weekend. I've also read the first story in this collection of stories by Stephen King, If It Bleeds. The first story is called Mr. Harriman's Phone, and it is a little story about our addiction to our cell phones. And it was really, really good. Not gory at all, just creepy. And an excellent commentary on addiction to the internet and to cell phones. And I really, really enjoyed it. And then I've also been suffering from a lot of insomnia the last 3 nights. So I have been working on my presidential biography. This one is President McKinley, Architect of the American Century by Robert W. Mary. And I am about 300 pages into this 500-page biography. And it is quite dry, I would say, it is one of the more dry presidential biographies. McKinley himself was quite dry. He was not a particularly, he was charismatic in that he personally connected with individuals and made friends with them and was a loyal person to the people that he was close with, but he wasn't a great orator. He wasn't a person who had a lot of political charisma to speak and get a lot of people excited about his ideas. He was more of a quiet, behind the scenes kind of working on what he wanted to get done without making a lot of noise about it. So he's kind of the opposite of Teddy Roosevelt, the way he's being described in this biography. And this middle section has been a lot about the beginning of American imperialism and McKinley's role in that, particularly in his interference, in the United States' interference in Cuba when Spain was losing control of their colony, and the rebel forces were trying to let trying to get Spain to allow them to be independent, and the United States kept stepping in and meddling because of business interests that we had in that country. And so I've just read the chapter where the USS Maine gets, the USS Maine blows up. It's still unclear even today what actually happened to the USS Maine, but it did blow up. And that was the impetus that caused us to go to war with Spain and to take from Spain the Philippines and Cuba and Puerto Rico. And not because the Philippines and Cuba and Puerto Rico wanted us to take them. So this is the start of American expansionism and really America stepping beyond its own boundaries. Also, Hawaii became a state during President McKinley's time in office as well. So yeah, that's pretty interesting because it really shows the shift in U.S. politics from being very isolationist and very just focused on what was happening within the North American continent, within the borders of what we currently know as the continental United States, into looking outward at other places around the globe that would be important for our own interests, for our own U.S. interests. So that is pretty interesting to read about. So very successful mid-month book bash as per usual. Thanks to Doris for organizing and hosting all these mid-month book bashes. Really enjoy participating in them each month. So I hope you're all well and finding some great books to read, and I will talk to you later.